It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And now let's go for some breaking news.
Breaking news, WABC.
Let's go to John Solomon, the founder of Just the News. John, you've got some updates on what's happening with some voting irregularities around the country.
Oh, yes, many, actually. In Michigan, a Chinese student, a non-citizen, unlawful to vote, has been arrested and charged with illegally casting a ballot in the 2024 election. Now, that is concerning in and of itself. How did he get on the rolls? How did he vote? But even more concerning, the Secretary of State's office says they don't intend to cancel the vote, that it will count even though this person has been charged with illegally casting it. That has people a little upset. But down the road from Michigan, in Wisconsin.
In Virginia, the appeals court voted with canceling those votes. Those votes
it was the United States Supreme Court. That's right. United States Supreme Court yesterday ruled that Governor Youngkin and Attorney General Jason Miyares in Virginia may, in fact, keep non-citizens from the voter rolls. So remember, the Biden-Harris Justice Department was trying to keep non-citizens on the voter rolls this election. The Supreme Court sided with the law and common sense. So Virginia won. Michigan doesn't have such a case before the Supreme Court. And now they have caught somebody doing it, but they're not going to cancel the vote, even though the vote has been cast. And that just begins. In the last 24 hours, there have been more than 24 election integrity episodes that have been confirmed by officials in various states. In Wisconsin, a complaint has been filed saying that there is video footage of people stuffing the ballot boxes, bringing large numbers of ballots in a state where you're not allowed to touch anything but your own ballot. They have pictures of bags of ballots being dropped off. So that complaint was filed by the American Conservative Union, which runs CPAC, the famous conservative conference. That's been going on. And all these things are beginning to have an effect on Americans' confidence. There is a poll that was released today by Rasmussen Reports, one of the reputable polling companies in America, that says nearly half of Americans believe that an election official might actually try to tamper with the election and interfere in and cheat in the election. That is an extraordinary rise in a lack of confidence in our elections. It's really been growing over the last years. And
John,
episodes like what we're talking about,
I
getting
agree
non-citizens off the voting rolls, or trying to keep them on the voting rolls, or people voting illegally. It's shaking Americans' confidence that we don't have this system quite right.
John, I agree with you. And I said to Speaker Johnson, who we had on before, it's got to be mandatory jail time. It can't be a $10,000 fine, because you know why? They'll bring in some foreign money to pay the $10,000 fine. Governor Patterson.
John, explain this to me. How would you cancel out someone's vote? And I'm not saying that you should or you shouldn't. I'm just saying, but how would you do it technically?
So the request is that the ballot be retrieved, since the identity of the voter is known. It has not yet been counted, so it would be spoiled, or it would be moved to provisional status, meaning it won't be counted because there is a lawful reason to reject the ballot. That goes on every day in elections. Someone comes in and they don't have the right identity, or an absentee ballot comes in, it doesn't match the voter rolls, and they put it to provisional status or send it back. So the act of doing it is something that's lawful and can be done. But for some reason, the Secretary of State's office has left everyone thinking she's going to keep
So
that.
it's not likely that you would know who this Chinese person who violated the rules voted for.
That's what is unique here. We know the identity because the gentleman has been arrested. His identity is now known.
But we don't know who he voted for, is your point.
Right. We don't know who he's voted for. That's right.
Judge Weinberg.
And, John, the most important thing, and people forget this, in the states that were run by state legislatures that were Republicans, they had voter integrity laws. The blue states refused to do that. On top of that, you had electoral campaigns to elect secretaries of state. And as Governor Patterson and Chairman Cox know, secretaries of state are very, very important in terms of ensuring the integrity of elections. You have a swing state like Michigan, and you have a Democratic secretary of state who's clearly in the pocket of the Democratic agenda. You have that throughout the country. And this has to be carefully watched, because they're the ones who are supposed to be monitoring the integrity of elections. And how do you have confidence in that?
That is such a great point. I think it is the heart of the argument that we've allowed the American federal election system to be distorted by whoever's in charge in a given state. And you can have these extraordinary moments on election night where Florida, which has very strong election integrity rules, and Georgia, which has very strong election rules, they'll have the results counted by 11 o'clock. They'll go to bed knowing who won in their state. And there are other states where we think it could take 13 days to count the ballots. That disparity adds to the sense of chaos and lack of common sense that is making people really doubt the election system, the greatest constitutional republic, the greatest democratic election system. Our own people don't trust it anymore. That's something we got to fix.
Yep. John
Thank you,
Solomon,
John.
you're great. Thank you, John. We so appreciate it.